Okay, let's begin because I'm sure we've all got stuff to do on this wonderful Monday evening. But what I wanted to do is just, first of all, I'll just introduce myself. And my name's Ryszard Chadwick. And I've been the Director of Performance and Development for ARPTC now for about a year. And I do some other things around the country. Director of the Northeast Academy, head coach of the New York Women's WPL side, coach educator with USA Rugby, and just a general lover of the game, coach of the game, referee, admin, everything that you can think of, just wax on top of that. But yeah, I've been working with ARPTC now for a year with Jules, and obviously with COVID and everything going on, the TRU reached out to us and asked us what can we do, and we figured that we'd do this this kind of curriculum, or this kind of session where it gives players and coaches opportunities to learn and develop. And what I would like this to be is, I'd like this to be interactive. I don't want this to be another Zoom, YouTube kind of course where you just sit and listen. I really want to see people be engaged and ask questions if they have them. So what today is going to be is just a kind of an introduction to what this is going to look like, a way for me to get to know everybody who's on the call, and hopefully will be with us through the next 13 weeks. And so just a quick ask from me, if you're able to get your camera on so I can see names and faces, that would be great. And also, if you do have questions, please stop me at any time, unmute yourself, and what we can do is we can actually just have some discourse, because that's probably the best way to learn, I would think. If that's okay with everybody.
I have a camera.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take you through, you know, obviously a lovely little PowerPoint presentation, because that's what we seem to do on Zoom calls. But just explaining the reasons behind the virtual education, and hopefully some takeaways, what you'll get from the program. So we'll just go through the reason for education, who I am and Jules is, a little bit deeper, what ARPTC is about if you don't know, the programming, and then a bit of a bonus as well. So for me, education is critical for any person to get ahead in what they're trying to do. And so when we're looking at coaching, we're looking at teams, it's vital that we have education with what we're doing and understanding types of learning and the need to learn. And something that we say at ARPTC is we expect the players to play up, but also the coaches to play up as well. And so if I can just throw it out there to the group, what types of learning are there?
Auditory, visual, or a couple.
Yeah, so auditory and visual for sure. What else do we have?
If they're anything like me, combination, you need both the visual and the audio at the same time.
Okay. What else do we have?
Performance. Yeah.
What's a typical school education type of learning? What typically is that?
Lecture, wrote.
Yeah, it's written, right? So most of the time it's like you've got to write, you've got to read. So you've got to write, you've got to read, you've got to listen, you've got to see what's happening. Almost like the kinesthetic movements as well. So moving with the body. I think a lot of young rugby players are, a lot of young athletes actually tend to fit into the kinesthetic kind of learning. So learning through doing. And, you know, so when we get to that next level and we try and everyone's learning at the kinesthetic level, we need to be able to understand how people learn in different ways as well. So really looking at that auditory, looking at that visual, and looking at other methods of learning is really quite useful. So understanding as coaches and as players how we learn is really quite effective. It might sound like a silly question, but why do we need to learn? So I guess another question is why is everybody who is on the call, why are you on the call?
Am I muted? So, hi, I'm Tracy Curtis, and I'm the head coach for the University of Denver Women's Club. We are in our third year and, you know, fairly new as a organization. So there's a lot to raise up at the same time. I've been coaching for a long time. I have assistant coaches who have coached for quite a while. Everyone, I believe most of us are new to using Zoom and other functions to this degree. I mean, we've been doing some virtual things, but certainly not to this level. And I think it's a great opportunity to really elevate our whole entire program. And Jules was a teammate of mine for many years, and I know her coaching style. And I mean, she was a terrific player, and whatever she's teaching, I'm grabbing onto. So thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate the help.
Excellent, love that. Anybody else want to share why they think they need to learn is, or why they're on the call tonight?
I know for me, I'm still relatively new to the sport. So it's been 5 years, but my playing has been kind of off and on. I've got my coaching certificate, but I still don't feel like I'm 100% comfortable coaching. So I'm just looking for ways to kind of add to that, because Lord knows I love this game, and I want to kind of help continue it.
Excellent, love that kind of I want to learn because I love it kind of mindset. Anybody else want to jump in and share why they're here, what they're looking to get out of this, what they're looking to learn?
I'll jump in. I'm from Fort Worth. My name's Alex. I think just as many people have echoed, just to expand, you know, our perspective, expand what we know. Sometimes we get into our own little silos and, you know, kind of grow what we have, but it's within our own little vacuum sometimes. And it's good to get out of our silo and see a different approach or catch on something new, as they say, put more tools in our tool bag. Yeah,
I love that. So it's kind of, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so I think that's one of the cool things about learning, isn't it? Is you kind of have that viewpoint that you're done, you're set with what you have, and then you learn something new and you're like, how have I never thought about this before? And that's one of the reasons why I'm really invested in education, and I really like to do these kind of interactive calls versus just a lectures, because there's a load of knowledge in the room, and what I want to do is I want to try and take knowledge from you guys as well as give you knowledge as well. So hopefully it can be a shared experience, and we can all learn. So just to give you some, again, I introduced myself a little bit, and what I really like doing is being able to put players, as a coach, I love to put players in an environment where they become self-aware and they become the product that they want to become, versus become a product that maybe the coach wants them to become. And I think with that in mind, that has to be a kind of like a push-pull kind of coaching technique. So as much as you're pushing players to achieve certain goals, you're also trying to pull their awareness out of them and their knowledge base out of them, and showing them what they already know. Because I don't think any player at any age group goes into something completely new with no knowledge at all. And so having that push-pull kind of sequence is really quite interesting. And you know, being able to coach at many different levels with many different organizations across the US and also across the world, it always comes down to a couple of things, which is you have to be able to create an environment for learning. And one of the things that ARPTC does really well, as you can see from Jules's little quote here, is that ARPTC are committed to help everybody. So there's no kind of thinking that if you go to ARPTC as a player or as a coach or as a manager that you know everything. It's very much a journey at ARPTC, and what happens is that the environment that there is a really cool opportunity to grow and learn and develop. So we have in the past had coach development weeks, and if that is something that people are interested in, then please reach out to me, you know, at any point during the next 14 weeks, because we'd love to have coaches in to come and shadow and come and help out. And if there's opportunities there for more growth for more people, then that's something that we're really aiming to do. And so what I talked to you about the learning side of things and the need to learn as coaches and as administrators, and I'm hoping there's a few players on as well, and if there's not, that's fine. But just Jules and I'm just going to talk about, so we're both coaches and we both have a very sound understanding that we don't know everything that's going on in the world, especially with coaching. It's a very, I compare coaching to the universe really. It's always expanding, it's always growing, and we really need to soak in as much knowledge as possible. Jules is obviously a doctor, and so she's got that academic side to her. She's a business owner, she's an incredible leader. She's also the founder of ARPTC. So just in those 5 areas, you can see how much Jules loves learning, and it's very evident that she loves learning. And then on my side, I'm a published author in a couple of coaching journals. Like I mentioned before, director and a coach, also an educator, and also a leader as well. And I think at the bottom, you can both see that we class ourselves as leaders. And I think anybody who is in the game of rugby is a leader in their own sense, and the best leaders are the ones that learn. And so that's really why we're really trying to focus on this education and hone in on this learning, is because if we want to be the best leaders and the best coaches that we can be, we need to expand our mind. And just the first step of everybody being on this call is a really positive way to see that people are open to learning. So when we look at ARPTC, what is ARPTC if people don't know what it is? We are an NDP, which is a national development program under the eyes of USA Rugby. That is a 30-page grueling document that we have to go through to make sure that we are accredited and recognized by USA Rugby as a national development program. There's not many of them across the country. And what we do is we aim to focus 7s or 15s, mainly the 7s game. But we really look at that development across the high school, the elite, and also the coaches, as we've mentioned. So this is not necessarily a place for people to come and be the best player in the country. This is a place for people to come to develop. And so if you are pushing to be the best player in the country, then ARPTC is a great place for you. If you are a developing player, then ARPTC is a great place for you. And if you're a high school player who's just found out what rugby is, then ARPTC has also got those options available as well. So it's a constant environment of learning and improvement. Interesting, so many books. So what is the purpose of this program? And the reason why I've put all these books up there is because hopefully what we're going to try and do is condense a lot of information in a very short amount of time. That would then hopefully help with the understanding of macro and micro game principles, skill development in terms of what skills to look for as a coach, what skills to improve on as a player, the key factors, we can have some game conversations around certain tactics that players and teams are implementing in the modern game. And then also we have a couple of platforms that we can use for that, which is obviously Zoom right now that we're using, but then also SportsU, which is was required, well, not required, was mainly meant to be used for players. If they wanted to send in videos of their skills that they were practicing on their own, we would be happy to give them feedback and look at the different areas. If they wanted to improve their catch pass, they could send a video into the SportsU platform, and what we could do is we could give them some feedback. So looking at the program, on the right-hand side, if we are coaches, then this would be really looking at the key factors involved in how to coach these different things. So for example, a floor pass, what we'd be looking at there is how can you assess and teach people passing from the floor, and what are the key factors involved in that. From a player point of view, you'd be able to really look at the key factors and practice your skill sets and make sure that you've hit those certain areas. And so that's what we're looking at, the skill development. And what will there be is there'll be a video with a little bit of text on each thing about how to really increase those skill sets and the key factors involved there. And then the middle column, the topic, these are kind of the topics that we're going to talk about on these calls. And so as you can see, last week we were meant to start, but I think everyone forgot that it was Labor Day weekend. And so there was only one person that showed up. So we postponed to today. But what we'll do next week is look at ruck presentation. We'll look at scrum half passes. What's the first receiver looking at? And we'll look at all these different topics, which will hopefully then take you guys on a bit of a journey across the rugby game. And so this is why it's 13 weeks long, is because there's a lot of content out there. And what we want to do is try and condense it in the most digestible format possible. And so the bonus was, I already gave that away, but it was meant to be for players in terms of the videos and the content, but we will be uploading more and more videos onto SportsU. So it could be, for example, a video of me coaching, and you guys can come and watch that video and take away or ask questions around it. So if there's coaches in the room, then that's great. If there's players in the room, then they can learn from the skill sets as well. So from a session one kind of introduction period, that's really all we have for tonight. It's more of a introduction to the course, an introduction to me, and hopefully setting a platform out so you guys will be interested to come back and really get deep into the learning and the education side of things. So if anyone's got any questions, I'll be happy to take some.
I just found out about this about 10 minutes before the call. I'm so glad I did. Is it every week at the same time?
Yes. So it'll be every Monday at 7 o'clock Central.
Terrific. Thanks.
So very, very quick question. I am in the player / kind of coach area. How would you be breaking that down?
Well, so as a player, if you wanted to upload skills that we're looking at, so if we go back to here, so for example, the early catch, if you wanted to upload a video of you showing that early catch, you can upload that video to SportsU and be happy to give feedback on that. And then what we can do from that is other coaches can see the feedback as well, so that other coaches can take that information and then move on and pass that on to their players if necessary.
Perfect, thank you.
No other questions? Okay, well, I think also what I would ask as well is if you're able to, if you've got assistant coaches, if you've got players that you think that should be on these calls, if you think this will be useful for other people, then please pass the message on and share the good news kind of thing, because you know, during COVID, if no one's actually doing anything, the one thing we can do is educate ourselves and become better. So when we actually get back on the field, everybody improves. And I think, you know, if everybody improves as a collective, the game gets better, and if the game gets better, then we get better. And I think that's the overall arcing mission behind this program.
So important. Thank you so much. It's really great.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. And like I say, if you got any more questions, email Wendy and she'll give you the Sports U or the Zoom links for the future. I appreciate you guys jumping on.
Thank you, sir.